come to the Aston Martin stand. So follow me in. What a great place to have your stand. So the exciting thing about the Aston Martin stand now is the launch of their new hypercar. I believe we're around €1 million. We've done the Valkyrie before, which is also a hypercar, but at such a stage that is £2 million, €2 million plus. Now they've brought out, I think, a hypercar and a mid-engine car. So let's go on the stand and have a look around. Immediately in front of us we've got the new Vantage, and on the other side of the Vantage we have the new mid-engine car that's going to rival the 488 and the 720S. So basically I was having a good chat to Jay at Aston Martin, and this is the hypercar that Aston Martin introduced below the Valkyrie. And over here we have the Valkyrie, which we'll come on to just a little bit later. But the nice thing about this is you can see the V12 engine for the first time. Guys, it's 11,000 revs. Turning round to the other hypercar on the stand, loosely referred to as the son of Valkyrie, this is the Aston Martin RB003. 003 because 001 was the Valkyrie, 002 was the AMR Valkyrie, which is the track version of the Valkyrie, and this is quite beautiful and it's referred to as 003. Basically what you've got at the front here is a two-seater cabin, very focused, and we'll look inside it a bit later, but it has masses of aero. I mean, look at the aero here, it's sculptured out of the door and out of the rear quarter panel. Just totally extraordinary. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away by this car. It's going to be around £1 million, guys. So we come to the back, you can see that we've got a flex foil carbon fibre rear spoiler, and I'll talk about the spoiler a little bit later, but it really is very trick. And underneath we've got the most astonishing diffuser I think I've ever seen in a car. I'll have to look at Valkyrie again to see what the diffuser's like on the Valkyrie. But if you come forward, we'll just have a quick look through the window here at the inside, but I promise you I'll get it open for you later. Coming round to the front, interesting the front actually, because there's all sorts of aero going. We've got vortexes down on either side of the front splitter. We've got aero into the bonnet. The centre one feeds through to the cabin. The ones on either side feed down the doors into the engine to cool the engine. So fantastic it is. And here we have the door open and have a good look inside. Now, it's very focused inside. It's about 100mm wider than the Valkyrie with additional headroom. But you can see that the front window is pushed right forward, and that's really so the A-pillars are really out of sight. The view is fantastic. Very simplistic inside. So if I just get in, you can see racing inspired steering wheel, very small dash in front of you, LCD screen in front of you gives you the opportunity to see only the information that you absolutely want. It's printed 3D printed carbon down the centre console, and also printed carbon around all the air vents. I've been asked to come out, so I'll come out. Yeah, thanks very much, mate, that's terrific. But basically, round the car, instead of having air vents, you have loads and loads of vents all the way around the front which expel air. So basically you've not got anything in your sight to distract you from the job in hand. So, you know, it's an extraordinarily beautiful car in my opinion. I mean, it's one of the nicest looking cars I've ever seen at this sort of price level. Not that there's a huge choice again at this level, and you can see, if we come round to the back again, you can see the flex foil carbon fibre. Now this can bend or reprofile itself in terms of being able to raise, but not on struts as cars have used in the past. all about aero, and when I was sitting in the car, my heels were actually slightly higher than my waist, which is interesting, and that's because they want to get the air under the car. They want you to be really low and therefore close to the ground, but at the same time they want there to be space underneath the car to get air underneath, and that's why you have such a big diffuser here. Just really beautiful, and it's completely open at the back. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but above the diffuser is straight through to the tyres, so there's going to be no build-up of pressure around the arches. Coming back round to the front. I think it gives you a very good view of the cabin. The cabin feels very airy inside, but when you see it from this angle, you can see that actually it's not that big. I think they've been very clever in the way that they pushed the glass forward. And again, there will be about 500 of these cars made. Adrian Newey, who's obviously the technical and design director of Red Bull, who was involved with the Valkyrie and is involved with this, says that aero is king, so huge amounts of time have been spent managing how the air flows round the car and underneath the car. So everything is tailored around the gearbox, for example, in terms of airflow. Now, the car is going to use Aston Martin's brand new 6-cylinder twin turbo and hybrid motor for this car, and that will drive the rear wheels. But there will also be a P4 electric motor driving the front wheels. You can see how deep that rear diffuser is, and there's a fair amount of air able to pass underneath the car. Coming back to the engine, as I alluded to earlier, we're talking about £1 million for this car, so we are talking about the next generation. But the sort of cars that it will compete with will be the replacement for the Ferrari, the Porsche 918, and of course the P1. We're targeting power outputs, I am told here, of 1,000 brake horsepower, maybe plus a little. Remember, the Valkyrie is up at 1,160 brake horsepower, so there's room below that for something around the 1,000 to 1,050 brake horsepower. What a good looking machine this is, guys. If I could afford one of these guys, I would go out and put my name down now. In fact, I'm already trying to work out how I can. Guys, we're going to move over to the Valkyrie because I must admit I wasn't actually expecting this car to be at the show, but very relevant that Aston Martin brought it, because this looks like it's in its finished state or very close to it. Now, I've been told that this is verification prototype 001, which in English means that this car is the first running version with an engine. There are a number of changes to the inside from previous generations that we've seen, prototypes that didn't have the engine. We've now got the fully functioning wing mirrors, which are shown on screens in front of the driver and on the passenger side. There's a central screen for infotainment information, and then there's also a screen inside the steering wheel itself. So all these things are presumably now fully functioning. All the suspension is exposed, which is really quite exciting, and you can see that there's a lot of aero going on. Overall weight of the car will be around 1,000 kgs, so this being the first Aston Martin Valkyrie with the Cosworth V12 installed, we're talking here about a car that's going to produce 1,160 bhp, a rev limit of 11,000 rpm, and it has 6.5 litres capacity. This car will absolutely fly. I don't know whether any of you have had time to have a quick look at Carfection's video on the Cosworth engine V12. It's worth listening to because the noise the car makes is completely epic. I've never heard anything like that. It's a good shape, isn't it? I mean, it's very racing car-like, even although this is actually the road version. But it's a racing driver's cockpit. You can take a passenger, but you really are cozy inside there. So let's move over to the AMR Valkyrie, which is the race version. I think Adrian Newey said with this car that it was really phenomenal to design a car where he didn't have to worry about all the road regulations that exist. It's just taken Valkyrie, which is already as extreme as you can get, and proved that you can make cars even more extreme. You know, Adrian Newey must have had a ball designing this, and as he said, aero is king. And everything that has been put into this car is to do with either the channeling of air or downforce to keep the car completely planted. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed that. I am utterly astonished how far Aston Martin under Dr. Palmer is moving to create cars that compete with the best in the world.